chaotic theater of modern life, we often encounter people who seem to test the very edges of our patience and values. These individuals, intentionally or not, bring negativity, manipulation, or constant conflict. But as Stoics, we don't aim to change the world around us. We aim to master our responses to it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the compass we use today. Through 11 Stoic-inspired practices, we'll learn not only how to navigate the presence of toxic individuals, but also how to transform those encounters into gateways of personal growth, resilience, and inner calm. The toxic person doesn't define who you are. Your response does. Let's begin. Part 1. Cultivate self-awareness. It starts with knowing yourself. Most people react to toxic behavior without ever asking why. Why does this particular comment sting? Why does that look or tone set you off? This lack of introspection is like walking into a battlefield blindfolded. You don't see the landmines until it's too late. Self-awareness is the Stoics' first line of defense. It gives you the power to observe your internal weather, to sense a storm brewing before it breaks. When someone tries to provoke you, your first task is not to react, but to notice the impulse to react. Marcus Aurelius didn't tell us to feel nothing. He reminded us to examine our feelings as they arise. You begin by pausing in that brief moment between the jab and the judgment, and you ask, what am I feeling right now? What belief in me is being challenged? Is this wound old, or is it real? Because often the pain toxic people trigger in us isn't new. It's inherited, it's unhealed, and self-awareness is the only tool sharp enough to cut through that fog. Practice this in real time. The next time someone offends you, don't lash out, don't shut down, just observe. Become the watcher of your thoughts. Why is this bothering me? What story am I telling myself? Is this about them or about something unresolved in me? You'll be surprised how often the answer sets you free. Remember, your power begins the moment you choose not to let someone else's chaos control your calm. Part 2. Practice forgiveness, guided by memory. Forgiveness isn't about excusing harmful behavior. It's about choosing to stop drinking the poison that someone else mixed. When we hold on to resentment, we carry the weight of another's actions far beyond the moment they occurred. The Stoic doesn't carry unnecessary burdens. They release what they can't control, including the bitterness of past offenses. But here's where the wisdom sharpens. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering clearly without being consumed. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to look into the soul of the one who wronged us, to understand their nature, and recognize that much of their behavior stems from ignorance, fear, or inner suffering. This doesn't justify the harm, but it reframes our response. Think of forgiveness as a form of emotional hygiene. It clears away the inner clutter that blocks peace. But memory, conscious, intentional memory, becomes the compass. It's what helps us remember not to return to harmful situations. It's what teaches us to set boundaries rooted in experience, not vengeance. Imagine forgiveness as the fuel that lifts you above the gravitational pull of toxic people, and memory as the navigation system that ensures you don't keep circling back to their orbit. You rise because you've chosen clarity over resentment, but you steer with discernment, so history does not repeat. Practicing this balance is powerful. The next time you're tempted to stew over someone's behavior, ask yourself, am I choosing to relive this pain, or am I ready to rise above it? Can I release the emotional grip while still remembering the lesson? That's the Stoic way, compassionate but not careless, firm but not bitter. Let forgiveness free you and let memory protect you. Part 3. Strengthen emotional stability. In the Stoic worldview, power doesn't come from domination. It comes from composure. Emotional stability is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to feel without being ruled by those feelings. Picture a mountain during a storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes down, but the mountain does not move. That's what we cultivate inside. When you interact with toxic people, emotional volatility is often their weapon. They bait, they prod, they provoke. But if you can remain grounded, you disarm them without saying a word. Responding with silence, a measured breath, or a thoughtful pause speaks louder than any outburst. Seneca reminds us that no one can disturb your peace without your permission. Emotional discipline is not cold detachment, it's warm control. It's the fire that warms, not burns. The key is to train your inner observer, to create space between impulse and action. Someone insults you, you pause, you breathe. You observe the tension rising like a wave and you let it pass. You recognize that their chaos doesn't need to become yours. When you do this repeatedly, emotional resilience becomes muscle memory. This kind of strength doesn't shout, it doesn't shake, it simply stays. That's the Stoic's edge, a calm that unsettles the storm, not feeds it. Practice emotional neutrality not as indifference, but as integrity. Because how you feel is real, but how you act, that's where your mastery lives. Part 4. Set boundaries with purpose. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're lines drawn with wisdom to protect what matters within. The Stoic knows that their time, energy, and peace are sacred resources, and like any valuable resource, they must be stewarded carefully. When dealing with toxic individuals, boundaries become non-negotiable, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. It's not about cutting people off out of anger, it's about choosing who you allow into your mental space and under what conditions. Imagine your attention as currency. Would you give away your hard-earned money to someone who consistently wastes it? Of course not. So why give away your emotional energy to those who drain or disrespect it? Setting a boundary can be as simple as not responding immediately to provocation. It can be choosing not to engage in conversations that pull you into emotional chaos. It's saying no without guilt. It's stepping away without needing to explain your every reason. As Epictetus said, keep your will in harmony with nature. And sometimes that harmony means stepping back from disharmony. You don't have to justify your boundaries to people who benefit from you not having any. Remember, the goal isn't to punish others, it's to protect your inner climate. Like a gardener pruning back to encourage growth, you set limits not to destroy, but to thrive. And when those boundaries are respected, relationships become healthier. When they're not, you gain valuable insight into who truly belongs in your life. Start small. Identify one area where your peace is consistently disturbed. Ask yourself, what boundary have I been avoiding and why? Then act, not in reaction, but in quiet certainty, because the Stoic doesn't yell enough, they live it. Part 5. Develop energy intelligence. Not everyone you meet deserves access to your energy. One of the most overlooked Stoic skills is energy discernment, the ability to recognize how people affect your emotional state and to adjust your presence accordingly. Toxic people thrive on draining others. They feed on reactions, entangle you in pointless arguments, or leave you feeling heavy and scattered after every encounter. But the Stoic learns not to engage blindly. They protect their inner reserves like a warrior protects their last ration of water in the desert. Energy intelligence begins with observation. After an interaction, check in with yourself. Do you feel calm and seen, or agitated and judged? Did the conversation elevate your mind or exhaust your spirit? This isn't about labeling others as bad. It's about listening to your nervous system, to your body's quiet signals that something isn't right. Just as a doctor wouldn't keep exposing themselves to a virus without protection, you shouldn't keep exposing your peace to people who habitually disturb it. The Stoic's aim is not to withdraw from life, but to participate wisely. That includes filtering what you absorb. This doesn't mean you avoid every difficult person. Sometimes those lessons are necessary. But you don't have to over-explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to stay in the room where your energy is being slowly siphoned. You can politely excuse yourself. You can remain neutral. You can reclaim your energy through silence, through posture, through presence. Remember, Not every fire needs your fuel. Not every challenge deserves your full attention. Your energy is a finite resource. The way you manage it says more about your wisdom than your words ever could. Part 6. Focus on what you can control. The Stoics taught that peace comes from understanding the boundary between what is within our power and what is not. Toxic people often exist on the other side of that boundary, unpredictable, emotionally chaotic, unwilling to change. When you try to control how they act, think, or treat you, you hand them the keys to your inner world. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This isn't just philosophy. It's a way of surviving emotionally volatile people without losing your sanity. Instead of obsessing over someone's disrespect, focus on how you respond to it. Instead of trying to change their mind, work on protecting your peace. Your tone, your posture, your boundaries, your reactions, these are within your control. Their opinions, their narratives, their projections, these are not. When you operate from this clarity, you stop wasting energy on futile battles. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to get the last word. You don't even need them to understand you. Your job is to live your values regardless of who's watching. That's true freedom. In practice, this might mean walking away from an argument you know won't end constructively. It might mean not replying to a baiting message. It might mean saying no and letting silence carry your truth. There is profound strength in saying, "I don't control them, but I control how much access they have to me. I control how I carry myself in the face of their behavior. I control whether I stay grounded or let them knock me off balance." And in that focus, in that return to your side of the fence, you reclaim all the power you thought they took from you. Part 7. Seek support wisely. Stoicism is not isolation. Contrary to the common myth, being Stoic doesn't mean doing everything alone. Even Marcus Aurelius, an emperor and one of the most self-disciplined men in history, leaned on the wisdom of others. He surrounded himself with mentors, teachers, and trusted confidants. Because even the strongest minds benefit from strong alliances. Toxic environments can distort your inner compass. They can make you doubt your instincts, question your worth, or feel emotionally disoriented. That's why the people you surround yourself with matter deeply. A Stoic chooses their support system with care, not based on popularity or convenience, but based on character and clarity. Support doesn't mean dumping your emotions on someone else. It means finding people who reflect back your strength when you forget it. People who challenge you kindly. People who hold you to your values, not your impulses. Seeking support wisely also means knowing when to walk away from so-called friends who enable toxicity. Loyalty is not about staying with those who harm your peace. It's about honoring the truth, even if that means standing in fewer circles. Ask yourself, who energizes me? Who helps me return to my center? And who, even in silence, makes me feel more like myself? These are your anchors. Cherish them. Turn to them not only in crisis, but consistently, like watering a plant before it wilts. There is Stoic strength in saying, "I cannot carry everything alone, but I will choose carefully who helps me lift." Let your circle be small, but full of soul. The right support doesn't make you weaker. It reminds you of how strong you really are. Part 8. Control your inner dialogue. The most persistent toxic voice in your life might not come from someone else. It might come from you. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. What you say to yourself matters more than what others say about you. When toxic people push your buttons, their words may hurt, but it's your internal dialogue that amplifies that pain or neutralizes it. If your mind repeats, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "they're right about me," then you've unknowingly become your own oppressor. Controlling your inner voice doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means speaking to yourself like a wise mentor, not a harsh critic. The Stoic doesn't lie to themselves, they seek truth. But that truth includes compassion. It includes the ability to say, yes, I made a mistake, but that doesn't define me. Or, their cruelty says more about them than about me. Your thoughts create your emotional climate. They shape how long pain stays, how deep it cuts, and whether it becomes part of your identity. By observing your self-talk and replacing destructive narratives with grounded, realistic, self-respecting ones, you stop being a sponge for toxicity and become a mirror of inner clarity. A practical way to apply this: after any difficult interaction, write down what you're telling yourself. Is it helpful? Is it true? Is it kind? If not, rewrite it. Not as a fantasy, but as a more balanced reflection. Because the Stoic path isn't just about silence on the outside, it's about serenity on the inside. And that begins with how you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. Part 9. Be solution-oriented. Toxic people often create drama that thrives on confusion, misdirection, and emotional entanglement. If you're not careful, you get pulled into the swirl, analyzing every word they said, replaying conversations, trying to win an argument that was never meant to be fair. The Stoic knows this game and refuses to play. Instead of obsessing over the problem, they ask, what can I do next? Where is the solution? Being solution-oriented is not the same as rushing to fix everything. It's about shifting your mindset from complaint to constructive action. You stop asking, why are they like this, and start asking, what do I need to do to protect my peace? This subtle shift moves you from victim to architect, from reactive to resourceful. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself not to be surprised by difficult people. They exist. They always have. Your job is not to eliminate them. It's to respond with reason, purpose, and clarity. In practice, this might mean having a calm, direct conversation instead of gossiping. It might mean putting something in writing instead of repeating yourself. It might mean walking away and investing your energy elsewhere. The Stoic doesn't pretend challenges don't exist, but they don't marinate in them either. They take inventory of what's within their influence and act decisively, without drama. This mindset is especially powerful in prolonged, toxic dynamics where problems are chronic. Instead of wishing the person would change, you change how you deal with them. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today that would reduce this stress? What boundary can I reinforce? What support can I seek? Where can I redirect my attention? These are Stoic questions, practical, purposeful, and powerful. Because the true antidote to chaos isn't control, it's clarity, followed by calm, committed action. Part 10. Avoid pointless arguments. Not every hill is worth dying on, and not every argument deserves your time, your energy, or your peace of mind. The Stoics were masters of discernment, knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to walk away. They understood that some debates are simply traps, designed not for truth, but for dominance, chaos, or emotional baiting. Toxic people often invite you into these battles, where logic is irrelevant and only volume wins. But you don't have to accept the invitation. As Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The real power lies not in proving your point, but in protecting your presence. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to know that silence can be stronger than shouting. It means you refuse to set yourself on fire just to prove that you're not afraid of the flame. The Stoic understands that truth is not validated by argument. It stands on its own. If someone is unwilling to listen, more words will not reach them. In everyday life, this might look like not replying to that passive-aggressive text. It might be choosing not to defend yourself to someone who distorts everything you say. It might mean ending a conversation with, "Let's talk when we're both calm," and meaning it. You don't have to participate in every disagreement just because someone throws one at you. You can hold your line. You can let your actions speak. You can conserve your energy for what truly matters. The Stoic doesn't avoid conflict out of fear. They avoid it out of focus because they know that attention is a form of power and they choose not to waste it. So next time you feel that heat rising, ask yourself, will this lead to greater understanding, or am I just reacting? Will engaging elevate or deplete me? If it's the latter, walk away, and walk away proud. That's not retreat. That's mastery. Part 11. Reflect and realign. At the end of every Stoic practice is reflection, not as self-criticism, but as self-correction. Life moves quickly, and toxic experiences can leave residue on our thoughts, our energy, and our choices. That's why taking time to reflect is not a luxury, it's a discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations not for an audience, but for himself. He used writing to revisit his day, to evaluate whether he lived according to his values, and to reset when he strayed. This is the essence of Stoic reflection, not dwelling in guilt, but returning to alignment. When you deal with difficult people, ask yourself afterward, did I protect my peace? Did I act out of impulse or intention? What did I learn about myself in that interaction? These questions shine light on blind spots. They turn random moments into lessons. They make your growth intentional. Realignment means making small adjustments. Maybe you recognize a need to rest. Maybe you realize you let someone cross a boundary. Maybe you handled something well, and you need to honor that too. Reflecting isn't about perfection, it's about progression. Build rituals of review. 5 quiet minutes before bed, a weekly journal session, a walk where you let your thoughts catch up to your spirit. The goal isn't to overanalyze, it's to realign with who you're trying to become. Because in the Stoic view, we are always in training. Every conversation, every challenge, every inner conflict is a chance to come closer to wisdom. And reflection is how we ensure we're walking the path, not just talking about it. Thank you for walking this journey through the Stoic lens with me. In a world that often rewards noise, choosing the path of stillness, clarity, and inner strength is an act of quiet rebellion. If these 11 principles spoke to something within you, if they reminded you that you are not helpless in the face of toxicity, but powerful in how you meet it, then carry them forward. Use them, reflect on them, make them your own. And when the world tries to shake your center, return here, not just to this guide, but to that deeper place in you that already knows. Peace is a practice, strength is a decision, and Stoicism is a way to live fully without losing yourself. Stay grounded, stay clear, and thank you, truly, for being here.